Mantour Ministries presents the Mantour Guy podcast. We may talk about football. We could mention bacon. We might reference Rocky movies. We'll probably discuss the Mantour conferences, but we'll definitely talk about how to grow in our walk with God. Here's your host, the Mantour Guy, Jamie Holden.
Hey guys, welcome to the Mantour Guy podcast. Jamie Holden here. We're happy to have you join us again today. Well, one of the questions that I get asked quite often by men is, how can we start a men's ministry and then keep it going? Men understand the need to have men's ministries. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want to have relationships with other men. They want the accountability and relationships that come along with that, but they don't know how to get it going. And many churches don't have any kind of men's ministry, and many of the ones who do, they realize they need to revitalize their men's ministry, kind of give it a reboot to make it stronger and better. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing today on the Mantour Guy podcast. I want to have a guest on this week who has already gone through the process of revitalizing a men's ministry. So we have Todd Murtoff with us today. He leads the core men's ministry at Christian Life Assembly of God in Camp Hill, PA. And over the past couple of years, he and his team have revamped the entire men's program at CLA. So I wanted to have him on as our guest today to share with you what he learned during this process and what tips he can offer you. So Todd, welcome to the Mantour Guy podcast.
Hey, thanks, Jamie. Good to be here with you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, let's start at the beginning here. Your church has always had a great men's ministry, but as often happens for different reasons, it went through more of a down time. So how did you and your team members begin the process of rebooting the men's ministry?
Well, I think it was just very fundamental from the onset, was just sitting down with the group of guys, with the team leaders, and just simply asking questions like what's working, what's not, and just taking some general feedback. And I know just through a course of conversation, I know one of the things for me was just like I think rather than trying to tweak or do an improvement here and there, I just think we need to take a fresh look and do a fresh reboot. And really the top concepts that came out of that for us was just the idea of kind of shifting and converting from a community or from a classroom to a community environment. I know that the last thing that guys typically want to come up and have another class where they sit there and they just hear a one-way conversation. To me, that's Sunday mornings is where you go in and you have the message preached from the Word and you receive that. Where a life group Wednesday night situation for the guys or for anybody on that matter would be, we looked at it as more as that's a time to connect, have some community, have a two-way conversation, whether it would be at the beginning of the time or certainly during our table time. So that was really the top level concept and how it got going. From there, it was really just kind of praying and seeking what this should look like. And I know for me personally, there was a couple of instances where I just felt like I got this download of info from the Lord that was just kind of like, this is the direction. Here's some things that we need to look at. Here's some actual names and some different ideas, and it just was a great thing. So that was really how it started for us.
And I know that one of the major changes you guys made when you first got started is you completely remodeled the men's ministry meeting area. Why did you feel it was so important to redo the entire area from like a visual point of view, and what was the thought process when you designed a new space?
Well, I think when we changed the concept of the entire ministry, I wanted the actual physical space to match the same feel of what the new brand and the ministry concept would be. Again, for us, going back to that sense of community versus a class was important for me. So certainly there was nothing quote unquote wrong with the existing space, but again, something fresh and new. For me, the first thing that we did, we ripped out the platform that was in there, took down the podium and all these things, and brought it down to a single level floor. Where we could actually communicate and have a conversation from the front, and then simply building on a feel of community and gathering. In today's world, that was kind of easy. We just went with this kind of coffee shop meets industrial look, some earth tones, and it really just brought the space into a close setting, a welcoming setting, and the idea that you knew when you walked into that room, it was something different than just walking into a traditional classroom. You could really physically see but this was something completely different, and guys were welcome to come in, and that there was going to be a time of community and conversation up here.
Yeah, I think the new room looks really well. I spoke in both rooms, and it does make a difference being down the floor level instead of being up on the podium. Just made it more homey and more just relational. So, I mean, the changes were really great there. I know you also changed the group name. It was, what, Man Zone? You changed it to Core. What led to this change, and what was your thought process behind the rebranding of even just the name of the group?
Yeah, I mean, again, when you're looking at a rebrand, again, we were just looking to go from front to back, from a complete change. And one thing was certainly the name. I know with the original name and concept, it was more of a sports theme, going with kind of off of the ESPN Sports Center type of a vibe. Again, looking to the community and just just breaking it down to like this is a community of real men. We're doing life together, and again, we're living out that faith, living out our life with real faith. And so that tagline, "Real men, real life, real faith," really came to the forefront first. And then it was just trying to find a name, and again, just the idea of nothing more than just having this download of information one day. I just felt like there's a group of guys, a core of guys, we're bonding, we're coming together, and the idea of core, it just came to me. It felt right. It works, and the guys just really grasped onto it, and so here we are with Core, real men, real life, real faith. It's been a huge success and a good brand for us.
And one of the things a lot of men ask me is when they lead a men's group is, what do we do during the men's week, like, or during weekly men's service? What should we do? What does it consist of? Can you share with our listeners what your weekly men's service consists of? What you do, how the men are taught, etc.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, to get going, I mean, again, we've been blessed. We have a basic media set up there with a couple TVs, and we have an audio board and some visual things with an iMac. So again, the idea, they walk into the room, and there's certainly promotionals, announcements, and so forth going across the screens. Again, visual information so they can catch when they come in. Typically have some background worship music playing to give just a little bit of a little bit of noise in the room. But once 7 o'clock hits, man, it's I get right into it with your basic welcome and announcements, and it's kind of like a rifle kind of a setting where it's like, okay, welcome to Core, let's get going, and just get these announcements out there so they're aware, but get it out of the way, get it in, get it done, and move on, because what we need to do is get into why we're here. And so once the announcements are over, we go right into our worship time. And what I've tried to do, I've tried to make it as engaging for the men as possible. I mean, sometimes men can be standoffish and hesitant with worship time, but we're up there, we're together, it's all guys. And one thing I've tried to do is to have live worship up there on a weekly basis. This is kind of like a broken down, like an acoustic unplugged session where we have one worship leader up there with an acoustic guitar, electric, keyboard, whatever, and you have somebody that's experienced that is their gifting, that they can lead these guys in worship, and we do live worship. And what we do is at the end of that, we kind of just let that, we make room for just to let the Holy Spirit kind of work and lead. So what we typically do toward the end of that is we'll have a prayer time, or if something specific comes up, we'll open the floor up to prayer requests, guys to share a word, whatever, and just kind of, just as the Spirit leads, go through the end of that. And then what we do, we'll wrap the worship session up, and then we go into our series. For me, I'm a conversationalist. I do what I'm doing right now. I'm not necessarily gifted. I'm certainly not a guy that's going to write his own material or stand up and give some dynamic sermon or message like a pastor would. I rely on a DVD series from folks that you're leading guys out there in the area, in the world right now. I mean, we have something right now from Dennis Rainey stepping up, a call to courageous manhood. We're going to be doing some Louis Giglio stuff in the fall. So I'm leveraging these world-class speakers to expose these guys to that level of ministry and teaching, and that way they're getting the best that they can get. But then at the end, once that series or that session is over, it gets down to what we call core conversations, and that's our table group time, where you have a group of guys around a table, typically 6 to 8 guys, and I have a handout that I do based on that session with just some general takeaways, and then I have three core questions that really line up with our tagline. I have a real men question, a real life question, and a real faith question. And these are challenge and discussion questions that really is where the community and the relationship with these men, among the men, develops, and really where ministry happens, walls come down, life situations get exposed and dropped on the table, and guys can rally around and minister to the men. And really that's where, like I said, that's where it all happens. And it's interesting as we've gone through here almost 2 years of this. The thing I hear the most is, man, we got to have longer table time. We need more conversation. So again, just I think to wrap this question up really is to keep that front end, like I said before, get the welcome, the announcements, and all the things at the beginning, get it out of the way, and stay as efficient and clean as you can, because you have that information go out from that session, and then the guys are really all about taking that time and really delving into it, and having that time and that space to allow that conversation and the relationship in the ministry to take place.
Yeah, and I really think that conversation time is really great. I love how you guys eat, as far as like the tables. You don't have just a row of chairs set up, guys sitting and listening, but it's more like they have round tables with the guys sitting around the tables together, a bunch of different tables, so you can have a good conversation. So I just think, as far as the way that's set up, I really like how you guys did that. Well, like me, I know you and your group place a big emphasis on the need to serve together as a men's ministry. I really believe it's important that not always just to always be taking in as men in men's ministries, but to be giving back to the church, to the community. Can you share with our listeners ways you encourage the men to serve inside and outside the church?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest point I make is, and I say it to the guys every week, knowledge is power. And so when you're saying to encourage guys, I think the key is not necessarily encouraging, but providing specific opportunities. Give them something specific. What I've done is I've created basically a little rack card, if you will, that has every serving opportunity within CLA that's available to them for the semester, and that could look like things that are it could be, serving at a special event like Go Men's Conference we were just at. We promoted that heavily. Volunteers, serve, get involved. Here's the 80 different ways you can serve at the conference. Yeah. There is external ways. We have a project right now that the church is involved in and partnering with another church on called Project Restore, where we're renovating a small little building in inner city Harrisburg into a drug and alcohol counseling center. Guys can come out there twice a Saturday, 2 Saturdays a month, and serve in the reconstruction of that project. And then you get down to the big events at CLA toward the end of the year. We're going into the holidays, so you have a Thanksgiving service. You have Toy Share, where we provide toys and gifts for the community, for the unfortunate folks in the community that can't afford a Christmas. We have Christmas Wonderland, where you can come in and serve during this major production that we have. That we serve 15,000 people over 2 weekends that come in to see these productions that we do. So it's not just encouraging, but providing something specific and saying, look, here's the date, here's the time, here's what it is, here's the contact information, and it's in one consolidated place. So as men, we can keep our stuff together. We can put it on the fridge. Our wives know about it. Mm-hmm. That's an important part, I think, too. They can see it. So if we're not necessarily organized, or maybe not necessarily as engaged as we should be, you can get encouragement and scheduling from your wife to make sure that it's on your calendar and that you're out there participating and serving.
I think that's just so great. It's so important to get the men involved in the church and outside of the church. I think so often men's ministries get so just bogged down and always taking in and growing inwardly. We need to be giving back out. So I love that you guys do that. And guys, Todd has a lot of great stuff here he's been sharing with us about how to reboot a men's ministry. We're going to be back with more with Todd after this short break.
Follow the Mantour Guy on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks.
Hey, this is Dwayne Goodling here for Light for the Lost, and I want to tell you about an upcoming event called Bacon Fest. We're really excited about this opportunity. It's going to be November 18th at Harrisburg First Assembly, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. in the morning, and we're going to have some bacon. We're going to have a good speaker, Greg Hubbard, and we're going to just learn about Light for the Lost and what they do as far as sharing the gospel with the world and getting gospel material in people's hands.
Guys, you can learn more about the Bacon Fest by visiting the Pendel Ministry website and looking under the Light for the Lost link.
The Mantour Guy Podcast, helping men grow in their walk with God.
All men want one thing in life, to be remembered. The good news is we all have a legacy. This is the question though, will you leave behind a good legacy or a bad legacy? Learn how to create a godly legacy in Mantour Ministries' book, Legacy, Living a Life That Lasts. By reading the stories of godly men from the Bible, working through the study questions, and taking up the legacy challenges at the end of each chapter, you'll be well on your way to living a life that lasts. It also includes a bonus workbook that you can use with your small groups. Order your copy today at mantourministries.com. How will you be remembered?
Order your copy today at mantourministries.com. Don't forget to visit iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Thanks.
Did you know that 90% of boys and 70% of girls are exposed to pornography online? Meanwhile, 71% of kids say that they're hiding internet activity from their parents. In 56% of divorce cases today, a major contributing factor is one spouse's continued use of inappropriate content online. What are you doing to protect your family online? Covenant Eye's Internet Accountability monitors how the internet is used on your family's mobile devices and their computers. Each web page visited is rated similar to TV shows or video games, like T for teen or M for mature. This information is collected in easy-to-read reports, and as a parent, you can receive weekly reports for your kids. Plus, you can invite your friends to receive reports for your internet activity, which enables you to enjoy the benefits of accountability and protection online as well. These reports provide you with a comprehensive view of how the internet is used in your home. They include information like the videos that are watched and words typed into search engines. Are you looking for additional protection? Covenant Eyes also provides internet filtering, which blocks inappropriate content and limits the amount of time spent online. Install Covenant Eyes on all your devices, your computers, phones, and tablets. There's no extra charge, and we provide free customer support. It's that simple. Sign up today. It's your turn to protect yourself and your family online.
Sign up for Covenant Eyes using the code MANTOR at checkout and receive 1 month of free service. Visit covenanteyes.com today to sign up. And remember, 1 month of free service when you use the code MANTOR. That's MANTOUR.
Welcome back to the Mantour Guy Podcast.
Welcome back, guys. Before we get back with Todd here, talk more about men's ministry, we're going to do our
The Mantour Lead Pipe. Write it in ink NFL pick.
Okay, so this week we have some not so great games. There's really not many marquee games coming up this week. None that really jumped off the page to me. But our Write It in Ink pick this week, we got the San Diego Chargers. Oh, I'm sorry, the LA Chargers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I keep saying that, but I don't feel bad. A referee said it during a game, so that's just the way it is, I guess. In that game, I'm going to go with Jacksonville. Jacksonville is going to beat the Chargers. Dan Courtney, my good friend, is a huge Chargers fan. He'll love that pick of Jacksonville. So that's our Write It in Ink pick there. The second game we're going to look at is the Cowboys versus the Falcons. My Cowboy hatred still is reigning supreme here, so I'm going to go with the Falcons in that game. Even though I don't think they'll win, I'm still going to pick them because I just can't pick the Cowboys, guys. The third game we're going to look at here is the Giants versus the 49ers. I mean, somebody has to win this game, right? I mean, they're both really, really bad teams this year. I'm going to go with the Giants, though. I think the 49ers keep it in the first category here and continue to stay defeated. Not undefeated, but defeated. And then the Sunday night game, I'm calling the Sunday night upset here. We're going to go with the Broncos versus the Patriots. I'm going to go with my Broncos are going to upset the Patriots. I know it probably won't happen, but I'm a homer. I got to go with that one. But anyways, those are our Write It in Ink picks this week. Jacksonville is the Write It in Ink guaranteed pick over the Chargers. We're picking the Falcons over the Cowboys. The Giants over the 49ers in the Toilet Bowl. And then we got the Sunday night upset of the Broncos versus the Patriots.
It's time for our lightning round.
All right, well, now we're going to go back here and we're going to talk some more with Todd. We're going to do a brand new segment here on the Mantour Guy podcast, and it is our lightning round. So, Todd, welcome back.
Thanks, Jamie.
Well, the lightning round is brand new. We haven't done it before, and basically we're just going to ask you some real quick questions and just give us your first answer that pops into your head, all right?
Oh, boy, I'll do my best, man. Here we go.
Just a way to get to know you better and just to learn more about you. So, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
My favorite Rocky movie?
Yes.
I would have to go with the original.
Okay. It's a good one. Mine's Rocky 3.
Second pick would have to be Rocky 4.
That's what most guys really like, Rocky 4. I'm sticking with Rocky 3. Eye the Tiger. That's mine. All right. Are you a cake guy or a pie guy?
I'd say pie guy.
Pie. All right. Would you rather go to the beach or to the mountains?
Mountains.
Mountains. All right. I'm a beach guy all the way. All right. College football or NFL?
College football.
All right. Okay. And John Wayne or Clint Eastwood?
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood. All right. Well, guys, that was our lightning round. Just a real quick round here to ask guys to learn a little more about them, and we're going to keep doing that over the next few weeks. So, well, Todd, as we get ready to wrap up here today, what is one final word of advice you have for the men or men's ministries who want to reboot their men's ministry?
I would say ask yourself, what do the men in my church need, and pray about that. I would simply just say that. I would also be in constant communication with your lead pastor, your family pastor, whoever is your immediate leadership person. I can tell you a little plug-in for my pastors at CLA. Obviously we have been so blessed with the support of our pastors, from Pastor Shane, our lead pastor, Pastor David, our family pastor, Pastor Scott, our immediate pastor, and Pastor Candace as well. Just the support. What do we need? Being able to hear us and listen to what we're trying to do and give us advice, and then given the go ahead to do all these things. I mean, it's just been a blessing. So I would just say to certainly communicate and stay with your leadership team that are within your church, but certainly pray and seek the Lord on what it is that your men need, not what you need, what your men need, as you look ahead to restart your men's ministry.
All right. Well, thanks, Todd. That's some great advice there. And thank you for being our guest today in the Mantour Guy podcast.
Thanks, Jamie. It's great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Shameless plug time.
And guys, if you want to experience firsthand the men's group Todd leads at CLA, every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, they do a live Facebook stream of their service. So, you can check it out. Go to Todd's Facebook page and check out his live stream every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. It's a great way to see what he's talked about. You can see it firsthand, experience it, and it'll give you some ideas and inspire you to go and, do the same thing at your church, or be able to get some ideas of how to reboot or revitalize your men's ministry. I know I always try and check it out on Wednesday nights when I can, and they do a great job. It's really nice that they do that live stream, too. So take a second on Wednesday night and check it out. And again, Todd, thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
The Mantour Guy's final thought.
Well, our final thought today is this, guys. I know sometimes it can be really discouraging when you're trying to keep your men's ministry going or even to start a men's ministry. And the stats tell us that only 10% of churches have healthy, thriving men's ministries. But I want to encourage you, don't be discouraged. Don't let these numbers stop you. The biggest thing I see that stops men's ministries from growing is when the leadership gets discouraged. And when, for the men who come every week, they come and they start to feel discouraged that it's not growing. But if it's the same 5 guys every week, or if it grows to 50 guys, it's still great to have these relationships. It's still great to get together every week to grow, to be mentored, to discipled. So I just want to encourage you, keep pushing forward, keep going. Don't let anything keep you down. keep the men's ministry growing, and look out for guys like Todd or other men's leaders who have healthy, thriving men's ministries. Ask them, what can we do to keep our group growing? Invite them to your group to come and sit in a week and give you some tips and advice. Sometimes I think as men we get too embarrassed to ask other people for help. But, one of the greatest things we can do is reach out to other people who are doing something well so we can learn from them. And that's kind of like we wanted to have Todd on this week, to let you see somebody who has a men's group who is growing, who's thriving. Let you see, number one, that it can happen. It is possible. And number two, to inspire you to follow their example and get your men's group on fire, growing. And if you don't have one at your church, to give you the passion to start one, knowing that it is possible. Because I believe the thing that men need most in this world today is relationships with other men of God. The enemy is always trying to attack us and make us feel like we are alone, like we don't have any other men around us loving God and serving God, like we're the only ones who are trying to do it. And when you have a group of men in your church coming together week after week, you can share these burdens, you can share these feelings, you can see you're not alone. That's one of the reasons we wanted to start this podcast in the first place, is to let men see they're not alone out there. There are other men of God walking and serving God and doing everything God called them to do. And we want it to be an encouragement to you that, you're not alone out there. So we hope you enjoyed today's podcast. That was our final thought of, just keep persevering, keep pushing through, and God will help your men's group continue to grow and to thrive. Well, guys, thank you so much for being with us here again this week. Thank you for giving us your time. We really do not take that for granted. We understand time is valuable, and we thank you for sharing it with us this week and listening to this week's podcast. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Mantour Guy podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Mantour Guy podcast. Be sure to visit mantourministries.com to learn more about our books, men's ministry resources, and our Mantour conferences.